What's up, men? Welcome to the Male Cartel Podcast. Let's get started.
Do you think men are important? Like for what?
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
Life's too short to exercise. I'm just gonna be honest.
It's okay to be fat.
Dispelling toxic masculinity and really redefining what it means to be a man. Men can cry. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to be weak.
I'm telling you right now, not everybody wants to see you win.
You seem to be more woman than you are man. You don't have any manly qualities.
You give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay, it's necessary. How are we going to do without men? You look around the city here, you see all these buildings go up, these men, they're doing impossible things.
It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Be a dangerous man. Being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. You can't be a good man if you're not a dangerous man. You say one disrespectful thing to my wife, I am not only willing, but I'm able to inflict great bodily damage.
I'm going to do everything in my power to become a victor and not a victim. I can't explain it, but you better feel me. Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture. What's the matter with you? There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
Here's your host, Nick and Shane.
Double dimes, quarter and penny. 2026. We back.
2026. This year's already going too fast.
Right?
Can you believe it's almost February?
Man, I'm right there with you, man. It's wild. It's been for a ride. I feel like I'm the mechanical bull. You know, you get on it, and if you ever rode one, the dude's the operator is on it slow for the first, and then all of a sudden he just kicks it,
tricking you.
And next thing you know, it's like high gear. I felt like that for like 2 days, and then it was like, whoa, I'm just holding on for dear life.
Someone with our Hope Church pastors just put a quote in our text thread. It said, ministry is like riding a bull. If you can hold on for 8 seconds, then you win. And I changed it. I said, if you hold on for 8 seconds, you win. But chances are you're going to get knocked off and kicked in the head more than you win.
100%. Dude.
That's life. You're going to get kicked in the head more than you win.
Man, that's so true.
But yeah, 2025, I think, was probably the fastest year that I can remember. And 2026 is going faster than that.
Yeah. I was in the trenches, and what's funny about the whole thing is that, you know, you hear the whole time, you know, just take care of yourself, get stronger. And those days really were long. And then I felt like when I got out of all the pain type of, where every day I take pain medicine, when I finally got out of that, started eating, it was a blur. I felt like for like 2 months, it was just like the slowest.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how that felt, because like if you're sleeping a lot, resting a lot, it might feel like days went by fast. But
opposite.
If you're getting treatment and all, it could like be like sludging by.
Yeah, I felt like the beginning, like this time last year, this week would be the week, you know, that we would move into our home.
Yeah.
And then everything's in boxes, and it's still not finished. But that's when the insurance stopped paying for your hotel. And then I had pain, you know, and I noticed that the tumor had gotten bigger and has moved. So my tumor was not only inside my tongue, but it was on the outside. And I had other things compromised. But that's when I knew I've got to deal with it, you know. Yeah. And then obviously those few months were very hard, I would say, because I kept everything to myself. And then the next 2 months, which would be April, May, that was really like a blur till my surgery in mid-May. And when the surgery happened, then it was like literally super slow. Like, honestly, it was because all you do most of the time is just sit.
Yeah.
You sleep a lot, but you sit and you think. You can't do anything. So when you think, you're just in your brain.
Well, and I can imagine someone as driven as you are to have to Like, pull back to 5 miles an hour. You're going 110 always, and then to pull back,
it's tough.
Would be hard.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
You're
mentally.
wanting to get stuff done, and
missing out on things and all that too. So, but here I am, man. I'm alive. So,
praise the Lord.
Let's go. So, how are you, man? How's like everything? Dad life, like 2026.
That's been challenging. We're gonna have a whole episode on that.
We're gonna have
a whole episode on that.
All you gotta say.
And look, I'm not holding back. I don't care. Oh boy, hey, there's a guy that was interested in my. I'll just say this much: there's a guy interested in my daughter, older than my daughter, 20 years old, supposed to be a Marine.
Hold up, not 20 years older than his daughter.
Not 20 years older than my daughter.
Yeah.
He'd be dead.
So your daughter's Haley's 17.
17. She'll be 18 this year. She's graduated a year early, so she's already in college. This guy just turned 20 recently, so the age gap's not huge compared to Nikki and I. And I'm not going to. We'll have a whole episode on it, but let's just say it's been fun. And I will say this much, because I thought this was hilarious. There was a text message that I came across, and it was when my dad was talking to this young Marine, and the text message was to my daughter and someone else. And this will just kind of give you an idea of the guy, but and I hope you're listening, because he told me he's going to start listening to the podcast. But anyway, he texts them, "Get me TF," which you know what that means, the F, out of this conversation before I start tweaking. This is a Marine. So my daughter and I are talking about this the other day. This was a few weeks back. And I was just like, "Hey, are you worried about old boy maybe getting sent to Venezuela or something?" And she's like, "Well, he's in the military. Yeah, I'm concerned." I said, "Well, I would be too, because if he can't have a 30-minute conversation with Papa, then, he wouldn't even have to be tortured to give up country secrets. All they'd have to do is start having a conversation with him. And he'd start tweaking out, be like, "Stop, I'll give you all the answers." They ask him, like, "What college did you go to?" And just normal questions that you would have in a conversation. If he's tweaking over that, then anyway, so quite the adventure, but old boy can't handle a conversation.
Well,
so,
when we do that episode, this is how I'm putting Nick on the spot right now. When we do the episode, I want me to be in the driver's seat. And me come up with about 5 questions, and I'm just going to MC and host the show. Well, not the show, but the podcast. And then I'm just going to ask him pointed questions, and then I'm going to, then let him talk it out. I'm going to kind of like be, Dave Letterman. It's going to be the Shiny Poo show. So because I really want to know. That may have to be
one of those long form, Sean Ryan style. Podcast where it's like 2 hours, because you got plenty to say.
It will be a dating special for the dads.
I wanted to do it this week and call it something like Hunting Wolves, or put the wolves down, something like that. But
I will tell you that will be probably our most popular episode ever. Yeah, because it's like super interesting. Like when they tune in and they start listening to it. I promise you will not want to miss out on that.
You had a conversation with my dad, the OG. He was interviewed, I think it was episode 7. We may need to get him back in, because he was
for sure
just as involved. And we were talking about some other the proposal. Old Brian, I don't think it was an official proposal, but it was funny. And you said we needed to get him back on the episode. So maybe we need to bring him in.
We do. We need a 2-part.
We have a conversation.
We need a 2-part.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah, because he was intimately involved in that as well.
The title needs to be "Shooting Wolves and Raising Men" or something. Or what do you think?
Shooting wolves and wearing their fur. I don't know.
All right, we'll think of something.
We'll think of something.
Cool, man. Well, we got a good some good content today, since it's first of the year. What?
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say, based on what we were just talking about, with how quick time goes, I think today is very fitting, because what we're going to talk about, it's very easy to get wrapped up in the routine of things and the busyness of things, and we don't really think. We just do what's in front of us. We don't plan. We don't think ahead, which can get us into
for sure
trouble. So I think today's very fitting
with
that. you want me to throw out the?
Yeah, to do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you start with the first question I'm going to throw out, and then you can bounce it back to me.
Okay.
I saw this on a reel. Guy goes around and he comes up. It's probably set up, but he makes it like he's catching them on the street. And this guy interviews famous people, wealthy people. I sent you a video where he was doing it with Jameis Winston. And so he goes up to a guy, and the guy's a filmmaker, and they're talking. And the guy, he's like, is there any advice that you would give to other aspiring filmmakers or young people who are, setting goals? And the guy made this comment. I loved it. He said his grandma always told him, when you're born, you look like your parents, and when you die, you look like your decisions. And so I thought that would be something good for us to talk about, kicking off 2026, first official episode of the year, to talk about a few things, whether it be our health, as husbands, as dads, any other aspect of life. What is one decision that we would encourage men, young men and older men, that as they kick off this year, not getting wrapped up in the business of everything and just going with the routine, but really thinking through, like, what decisions would I want to make here in 2026 that when I die, I would be proud of, or that when I die, like I'm, would shape who people know me to be. So let's start with health.
Yeah.
What would you say one decision when it comes to a man's health that you think they should make today that when they die, they will be proud of or would mark their life?
I say too easy on this one. Habits.
Okay.
Habits with your health. A lot, if you want discipline, you start with good habits. And I think when it comes to like health, I'm thinking of like eating. I'm thinking like working out. I'm thinking those things to keep your health, tip top shape, I guess you could say, for lack of better words. Because as you get older, things change. Your body's metabolism changes. If you've had injuries back when you're younger days, those joints become inflamed. You can just like, hey, I just don't want to work out. And what happens is, we'll just give you an example. And you guys know this too. It's not rocket science. Then you wind up gaining a bunch of weight. So then you're going to wind up being in your mid 40s, late 40s, could be in your 50s, and you have gained considerable amount of weight. So like if you're like my height, 6'4", and you make hold your weight decently, but you're over 300 pounds.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you that's not going to be very good. So you're going to do one or two things that comes to that weight. Okay, you're gonna say, hey, well, three things really. One, you're gonna say, hey, who cares? Bump it. Like I don't care, man. That's what you're going to do. You don't care. Two, with your weight, you're going to try the easy road. You're going to try like a shot or like pills or try the easy. You're going to get the little stomach band. You're going to do whatever that is. You're going to try something, some procedure to kind of cheat the system.
Yeah.
You're going to try to do that. Or three, you're going to decide to put some habits in. So, but I believe that if you start your habits, it's going to be easier for you to lose those weight. With the way you eat, listen, if you don't take care of your diet, you're going to be more prone to get diabetes. You know how that is. It does not. What happens is, you got to understand this. Your body compounds. And so like if you got diabetes, and then say like, and you didn't take care of your body, and you gain a bunch of weight, you're more subject to what? Heart disease.
Yeah.
Then can you imagine having heart disease and diabetes at the same time? That is a recipe for disaster. And then if you're diabetic, your insulin levels will be off. So you're going to always gain weight. Like it's just going to be. So wouldn't it make more sense now if you got a chance to go ahead and take care of your body, take care of like good habits like eating, like walk away from the table. Just look at your calories. You ain't got to do it for about 3 weeks, probably maybe 4 weeks. Eat well. Look at your portions. Your portions become reality after about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
On repetition. Don't cheat it. And then it happens in about 4 weeks. You can go in, it's just like the alarm clock. If you wake up at 6 o'clock every single day, after 3 or 4 weeks, you don't have to set your alarm.
To it, yeah.
Your body, it's just like the weather too. Your body climatized. So God has been really good to build, to wire your body in such a way.
Yeah.
And so I say habits, man. Eating and, come to health, eating, working out, being active. Like you've got to get mobilized and you got to do it. What about you?
Well, to piggyback on what you were saying, also with getting used to it, I started several months ago, stop eating breakfast. So I'll essentially do a fast for 18 hours, typically between dinner and when I eat my first meal.
Studies show that though. Like you don't even need breakfast.
Right.
People say it all the time, but
there's something
in history.
That's what I came up hearing was like breakfast first gets your metabolism going.
Yeah.
But then hearing some of the studies where it's called break fast, there was a fast between dinner and breakfast, and it would and different people, of course, if you're in a heavy labor type job, you may need some fuel to help you in the day. So me, I'm not out, doing road work, construction, things like that. So I've decided, and it takes a little bit to get used to. You're gonna have hunger pains. I drink more that helps curb that. However, I eat lunch. Usually, it's something still relatively minor, heavy protein, which helps me to get through dinner. But the more I started doing that, even at lunch, like if someone wants me to go to lunch or something, we go somewhere where the portion's a little larger. I have found myself to where I don't eat as much because I'm not used to a large lunch.
That's
so now I'm filling up. I feel full quicker because my body has gotten used to that. I would say, and this is nuanced because we deal with younger guys and we also have older men who listen to us. I am, it bothers me to see young, capable men cheating the system who are not severely obese. They want to lose some weight, but instead of going to do the hard work and disciplining themselves, they're doing Ozempic and those things. There are some people who may need that. They've gotten to the point where they need that.
Sure.
That is a fine line.
What do you think? Not to cut you off. What do you think though? Percentage in your professional, being a human, being around, because what people listeners got to understand is that you're in the people business. Like we're around people 24/7 of a day. We're not like we're just in a office. We're always with people. So you as a professional human and person who deals with people, what percentage would you say that really need it?
Well, I think we're becoming a higher percentage because for some it will get them to where they need to be because their body cannot do much. But if you watch Dr. Now, I forget which his program's called, he makes them lose a certain amount of weight because you can do it. That's the problem with things like Ozempic and even some of the gastric bypass type surgeries and stuff. Once again, not completely against them, but if you don't learn the disciplines and the habits, like you said, then it's not going to last a long time. What I hate to see is a guy in his 30s and 40s who's just slightly overweight and needs to lose weight, turn to those things and not actually put in the work. I'd say even in their 50s. Like I've the last two people I've seen either using Ozempic or having the bypass surgery they could have done it by putting work in. They were not severely obese. Now, I would say there are those who maybe are of a certain age to get a head start. Something like that may help, but if you're doing the right habits in between.
That's exactly right.
Because I would say that one decision for this year, what I would say to start with is just start. It's hard. Like you're going to be, if your body's not used to it, you're tired doing something. But I would say start with some sort of strength training. Whether you're young, that's going to set you up for positive, and if you're older, you need that. I never understood till I started like studying this stuff, why people die when they like fall and break a hip. And the reason they break their hip is because and then there's other things that happen from that. But the reason that happens so much is because you lose a percentage of your muscle mass after 40 years old. Every year you lose a percentage of your muscle mass if you're not using it.
Yeah.
So you can sustain that and you can strengthen that, and it helps protect against falls. It helps be able to stand up and to play with your grandkids and things like that. It's going to help fight against body fat. The fat that people don't understand isn't just what you see exterior. It's that subcutaneous fat that's around your organs. That's very dangerous. And so it's like, we're not saying this to beat people up or to be like, oh, we're fit. No, we put in the work to be where we're at, and we know men are capable of that. So we're not here condemning people, or when we see people just looking at them like we're better than them. We want better for everybody. We 100%. Want you here into your 90s, 100 years old because you're fit. My uncle's about to turn 75, and I saw him last night randomly. We didn't know we were going to run into him, and his sister, my mom was there, a couple of his sisters were there, and they were telling him like, now don't be walking when it's dark, and telling him all this stuff. And I was like, how did you make it 75 years without all these women telling you what to do? And but he was talking about how a lot of people his age are using walkers and stuff like that, and that you got to keep moving.
That's
and
right.
So you got to get your body moving. So that's what I'd say. Find some way, make it a habit, do some strength training, go buy a couple dumbbells and just do some curls do some shoulder lifts and just get your body moving, build some strength. What about when it comes to being a husband? And then we'll jump from there into dad, but being a husband, what's that one decision you would say?
Oh man. I would say do the little things well.
Okay.
Do the little things well. Like when I say that, meaning like there usually what happens in a relationship is that the little things causes a big old fight. And when you follow the breadcrumbs, it's all something small that could have been avoided or whatever. So just do the little things. One little thing I would say would be say you're sorry a little bit quicker than you did when you know you did something wrong. Just apologize. You left your dirty drawers on the floor. Apologize.
Listen to that, ladies. Oh, I mean, men. I'm sorry.
And so, that's what I think. Just do the little things, when touch your wife on the shoulder and look her in the eye and build up some confidence in her. You can help in the kitchen a little bit, put away the dishes if that's needed, or trash can. You should just do the little things, the little fundamental things, because sometimes this has a lot to do with like as you get older, probably in your marriage. If you've been married for a while, you just forget about the little things. You're off to the big things. Your kids have already they're of age, and so you're blowing and going, and your kids are usually in sports or other I can't even say that word now with my tongue.
Extracurricular.
Yeah, activities. Thank you. And like they're doing those things, and so what happens is we'll do the big things, right? We'll do the big things. We'll work hard. We'll supply money. We'll do all that stuff like that. We'll go get the car breaks down. We'll go get fixed. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Something your wife can't do. The little things is maybe like leave a note. The little stuff they used to do when you were dating. Just do some. I ain't saying you got to do that all the time. I'm just saying just do some little things, because those little things compound, because it's usually the little things that causes the biggest fights. I do premarital with young couples. I've got 3 couples right now that I'm working with, and them jokers are young too, bro, like young. And so in them, I'm always talking about the little things, and they're all like seeing through rose-colored glasses right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have never been in a fight, and da-da-da-da. And then one person's like, oh, and then we work through conflict resolution, and then they talk about something that they disagree on. And I talk about the little things like, hey, what Satan will love more than anything is for us to take this little thing and just blow it up.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, the little things that you guys do now for each other that shows love, usually that gets on the back burner because you think you have outgrown it. You don't really think about it. It's like subconsciously, but you just forget the little things. But the little things make a huge difference in a relationship. Sometimes those are the things that kind of keep you tethered when you go through a season of drought, like in your marriage. Like it's just everybody's kind of tired. Those little things they keep you tethered together. So what do you think?
Well, I like that too, because it's the little termite that causes the biggest damage
there you go.
In a house. And so whether there's little things for the positive will cause a bigger impact down the road, because it builds and builds equity into the relationship. It's also the little things over time. I think it's because we get comfortable, and she doesn't say anything about after a while you leaving your stuff around, but she's bothered by it. Something I was telling our leaders recently, for years we've talked about, we've got a little nook and we want to do something with it. And our ironing board was there, and it just kind of would stay up. And we were talking about doing something with that area, and then over time, clothes would be hung on it, and it's there. And so I just decided several weeks ago, we said we want to do something with this. I'm tired of that sitting there and just becoming another, extra closet or whatever. And so I went and bought a simple thing that holds, like you would have at a hotel, to hold the ironing board, to hold the iron. And it takes seconds. but it's a small thing, and that whole space looks so much better.
Man, that's a good
for
word.
anytime using the iron to take an extra 30 seconds to put it away. So I love that. I would say to grow in your leadership, find ways to grow in your leadership. We've started a men's mentor group. I've heard from several men just being very vulnerable and honest lately. I don't know how to be a leader. One man had an adult daughter, so he's been married for a while, and he's just like, I've never led my home, and I just don't know how. And so we've been hearing that more from men. So we started a men's mentor group that meets every 2 weeks, and then in between there are tribes that we've created that they will be meeting, together, not just in a large group, but they'll be meeting together or just talking on the phone, just connecting in the off week. And when we were going through this, we just did chapter 1 of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. In it, John Maxwell talks about, and this makes sense when we see society. I'm not saying this is justifiable, but what we see in society. Football teams not winning. Right now there's a ton of NFL teams that need coaches because they fire their coach. Oh, yeah. When a business isn't making money, they fire the CEO and they find a new CEO. When a church isn't going well, sometimes the pastor gets fired and they start looking for a new lead pastor. Well, what happens in our homes? If a wife doesn't feel like her husband is leading, once again, not justifying this, but we see 50% divorce rate among even Christian homes. Those who actually follow Jesus, it's less than 1%, or it's less than 2%. But those who even profess to be a Christian, their homes are breaking apart. Well, could that be partly because men aren't taking leadership? So I think as men, we need to find ways and commit ourselves to become the leader that God wants us to be and has called us to be and designed us to be in our homes. And that means sometimes stepping up and saying, nope, as for our house, we're not going to do that. That's not what, and that would be hard. It'll create tension, especially if you've been kind of diverting your leadership to your wife and just letting her call the shots. If you start taking those reins back over, it's going to be challenging. There's going to be some tension, but that's what you're called to do. So whether it's reading books, podcasts like this one, videos on YouTube, find ways to grow as a leader, and then don't just get information, but actually allow it to be put into practice and grow in it. You're going to get it wrong, but you got to start somewhere, and you may pick up 21 irrefutable laws of leadership.
Right. I'm glad you guys are doing that. When you said the leadership, I was like, oh gosh, that's like another good one. I've been walking through a few people right now just based off of that.
Yeah.
Some of the guys that they're first gen Christians, and so they really have never had an example in front of them, and so it's like you're having to spend some time with them. But I have more men now than ever that have said, hey, I want to, I don't know how to, and in that it's kind of, it actually brings me joy, gives me hope, really. And I just want the women to like slow your roll just a little bit, show a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
For the guys who are really working. If you see like he's improved, like we always say 1%, if he's improving, just show some grace.
Yeah.
And encourage it. Because men, if you tell your husband, if you listen and you tell your husband like, oh, man, you are doing an awesome job. I promise you. And if he is doing a good job, you're not just gassing him. He's gonna make him want to like, man, please.
He'll immediately start doing 10% even better
up
than what he was doing.
Yeah, it's like Mario. It hit that little mushroom or that flower, and it changes the game, or hit that star.
Or the star.
Where
Yeah.
All right. What about being a dad? Being a dad, and we'll kind of end on this one.
For me, that decision would be to be actively present, not passive, not. And this is one of the things that goes along with the episode that we will have, but it's real easy just to go, especially as your kids get older, because you want to start loosening the reins. They are older, and this may be different at a different age, but I'm preparing you now for that age range. But this is even in your young children's age. Start it now. But it's real easy to go, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. There's a difference between mom and dad oftentimes. Oh, okay. I'm like, who's the friends? Where do they live? Where are you going to be? I want to know. I want to meet the friends. I want to know everything about it. And it's so easy. But see, what we want to communicate to our children as they get older is we trust you. I had a friend, we actually interviewed Brian, Edwards. He's like, I want them to know I don't trust them. That's something you earn. That's something that you have to, that has to be earned. Like, you have to prove that we can trust you.
Yeah.
And we don't know that until we start loosening that rein a little bit. So for us as parents, especially in this generation and culture, we want to be liked. We want to be friends. We don't want to be the bad guy. And that, when you're taking leadership in your home, that can be wearisome when you're always having to be the bad guy. You're always having to bring correction. You're always having to coach. You're always having to do, and you can feel like that's all you're ever doing. That's why what you're talking about, the little things of encouragement and building up, is important, because when you have to come along and go, hey, you can't hang out with that friend. Right. You can't date that guy. Can't go there. Then you at least have some sort of balance.
That's right.
And so I would say, guys, be actively present. Check your kids. If they're under your roof, they're under your rules.
100%.
So check their cell phones. Know where they're going. Meet their friends. Don't be lazy. Be actively involved in who your kids are hanging out with, where they're going, what they're doing, what they're involved with, what they're doing. Because if not, there will be trouble, and that's the biggest trouble. Usually comes from the most passive parents.
It's crazy you say. I mean, I 100% agree. As somebody definitely whose my job is working with the next generation. So like, I tell parents all the time, just like, you say no a lot, and you should, and you got to look for ways to say yes. But you got you don't want to give them so much rope that they hang themselves. You can give them just enough to where they can learn. And I think that takes effort, and it takes you can't be passive in that. You got to be super active in knowing where they're at and who they are and all that stuff. That's the only way you'll know what kind of rope you need to hand out to them.
Right.
If you don't, then they can be tied up around a tree like a dog, and the water bowl is on the other side. And so I would say, I said this other day, and I do believe it's true. I put if you want to love someone well, the best way to love someone well is to be intentional. And so I would say intentionality. I said the word pretty good there.
You're doing good.
I just be intentional with your children. And so that's going to mean you're going to have to make some time. You can't be passive, as Nick mentioned. You're going to be active. You're going to, and I'm not saying you have to sit with your kid on the floor and play the entire day, because they need skills where they can play by themselves. They can play with their siblings. They have to be around people. Yeah. You can't just be there, because then you'll create a monster. Instead of an iPad, you are the iPad, and you do it, and they just learn to tell you what to do.
Right.
They're puppeting you. And so, not saying that. I'm just saying, look, to be intentional. Be intentional, because as a dad, you're called to do the heavy lifting, and you're modeling. And so, but you got to be very intentional with your daughter and with your son. I'll tell you a story, real quick story. I have a big long scratch on the back of my Toyota. I have a Tundra, so does Nick. We're the Tundra Bros. And so I have a long scratch. I wasn't feeling well. I took a little nap, and my Andrew came in. I just woke up. I saw him peeking in the door. I said, "Hey, bud, what's up?" He came and sat next to me. He goes, "Hey, just want to let you know I hit your truck." I said, "Okay." I said, "How bad is it?" He says, it's not bad." "Oh, well, it is bad. It's a big scratch, and he began to explain thoroughly. Now, if you know me, if you don't know me, I'm telling you how I am. I don't want to hear the whole big explanation. I need it short words. And so I said, "Hey, how about you just take a picture of it?" And he goes, "Okay." He comes back with it. 10 minutes later, it's just a video. And he was just narrating it the whole time. It was super cute. And I was like, okay. That jugger's long. I mean, it's about a foot long, or 10 inches or whatever. And it's deep too. It's deep. It's down. It's just scraped. So, short story long, he's riding his bike. He has an old bike that was given. All my kids have given bikes. And on the bike, the rubber grips on the outside have worn down. So now it's metal showing on the corners. He's riding the bike. We have a little column in our little house in the front. And we have 2 cars. My truck, my wife's van. He comes across in between the column and the truck. Instead of slap into the column, he decided to get close to the truck. He got too close, and it scraped. He hit the truck, and it scraped it. That was his story. And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, it's okay. It's okay." And he goes, "Huh?" And I said, "Yeah, it's okay." I said, well, let's just go out and look at it together. So we went and looked at it together, and he began to explain to me in everything. Show me with the bike, everything. I just sat there and listened to myself. Okay, I see what you're saying. I said, it's okay. We make mistakes. So I said, but you got to remember now, you see, let's look around us right now. You have the whole yard. You have the whole street because we live in a cul-de-sac. So you have all this space to ride a bike. What would make you want to ride a bike between the column and the truck? Because it seems like, he goes, oh, you're right. Dad, that's smart. And I said, yeah. And I'm thinking in my head going, it ain't very smart, son. You're just not smart at all. Like, if you see my yard, like, it makes no sense at all. What would even, it made no sense for him to run into my truck. In the back of it, the side of it for sure. But the back, the tailgate, there's no reason. Because I backed my truck up. Because men back the trucks up.
That's right.
And so I was like, so in that, I'll say all that to say, the only reason I knew kind of what to do, is because I scratched my uncle's truck up, brand new 1500 when I was 14. And I remember how that felt. And so my son just went and was like, Dad, I just really thought you were gonna, he anticipated. He was so relieved. He kept telling Mama, I'm relieved. And he says this, I heard him tell my wife said, hey, so how'd it go? And he goes, well, he took it better than I thought. And then I gave him a big old hug and I kissed him and I told him, I said, son, it's all good, man. I said, but next time, be smart. Don't ride around. I said, to say, being intentional. I never thought that was a big deal. But as I talked to my sons, and that's been that was over the holidays, it was a really big deal to him. It really was like a big thing to him. And then we were able to have another conversation about God's grace and about His mercy. And I said, that truck is not Daddy's truck. It is God's truck. And so God just gave me that truck and provided it. So we got to take care of it. That's the only reason Daddy cares about stuff. It has been amazing. And I'm so grateful for that scratch. Every time I see that scratch, I literally pray for my son every single time. I back my truck up. I walk out. I pray for Andrew every single time. It's just a vehicle. And so just being intentional. I never knew that would make us smart. So anyways, dads, be intentional, be all in.
Yeah. I still got a closet with Haley's drawing when we first moved into our house.
I remember that. I remember all of that.
And it is still there.
I think, did you make a blog about it a long time ago or something? Did you blog about it?
Yeah.
I remember the blog. I learned a lot from Nick because he's ahead of me. I mean, the yard is still I've used that in so many sermons. Mm-hmm. You with your yard. And everybody wants a pristine yard. And
my
Nick's
kids
like,
drove their dirt bikes through it.
Through dirt bikes and playing football and like it's meant to be played.
And guess what? They're not at home. Yeah. Haley's at home, but my boys aren't. And so now I can have my yard how I want, and so there's seasons, and so you just have to decide what's most important.
That's going to be a really good episode for the spring. We have to do that. We have to look at, and that'd be another one where I'm in the driver's seat and then I have to talk to you because I really do think that people who have kids who are younger who listen, they need to hear this. Obviously, my kids are older too, so I can speak into it, but not like you can. And then those who are older, who the kids are out, I think it really provides like, hey, some common ground. Like, hey, we're in the same boat, man.
Yep.
And so just knowing somebody is going through what you're going through, kind of like, and feeling, sometimes means all the world.
Yeah, so, for sure. Well, guys, we've got 11 months in 2026.
Let's go.
This month is practically over, so don't get wrapped up in the business of things that you can't make wise decisions because they will matter later in life. They'll matter in your children's life. They'll matter in your marriage. And so be intentional about making decisions. Something else you can be intentional about is going to mailcartel.com. In the menu is a button. There's an option for the merch. Right now, we're looking at some cold temperatures coming up. The winter is here. It's on the doorstep. We've got some hoodies. We've got t-shirts if you're into wearing t-shirts in the cold weather. We've got some hats. So you can go to mailcartel.com, select the merch option, and order that. There's flat rate shipping, and we'll get that sent out to you so that you can represent the Mail Cartel wherever you're at as well. You can share these episodes, and you can help grow the community of men that is the Mail Cartel. We would be greatly appreciative because we are appreciative of all that you guys do to tune in and to make this podcast what it is. So, guys, as we say every episode, get 1% better every day.
Yep. See you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for joining the Male Cartel podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share to help other men join the cartel. You can also keep up with us on social media and at malecartel.com.